When we go to add Mod Podge, I have little containers full of Mod Podge. Sometimes I'll write out the name on it. Sometimes I'll just put MP for Mod Podge. One of the key things to keep in mind is this is a glue-like substance, okay? So please make sure to wash out any Mod Podge brushes really well, or the bristles will glue together and we can no longer use the brush. So if you look here, I'm pressing really hard on here and it is barely moving. This is one that did not get rinsed out. Now sometimes students will complain about the Mod Podge brushes we have available. So they are not our best quality brushes because we are trying to save those for paint, and since this is a glue-like substance, we are using some of our brushes that are on their last uses. So you'll want to make sure that you are working on newspaper. You're going to only use a Mod Podge brush. You're going to grab a container of Mod Podge, and then you're also going to grab your project. Now make sure that you have written your name and hour somewhere on the underneath side of your sculpture before you start to Mod Podge. Remember, this is part of the requirements and worth points, so please include your first and last name and hour. So Mod Podge will help to seal our project and help to protect it. It is a glue-like substance, so we want to make sure that we do not put it on the part of our project that is touching the tabletop. Otherwise, it'll glue our project to the newspaper or paper that it dries on. One of the methods that you can use to apply Mod Podge is the dab method, where you do a light layer where you dab it. However, sometimes this can create little bubbles that will show once the Mod Podge is dry. So another technique you can do is to brush it on like you would paint, but you want to be careful to watch for any smearing. If you see any smearing of color, you'll want to make sure to wash your brush out really well and dry it. And then you would Mod Podge by color. So I would start with the lighter colors and then move to the darker colors last. As you are Mod Podging, you want to make sure that you have a light coat. Try and keep this a very minimal amount. If you put the Mod Podge on too thick, it will dry foggy. If you put on a very thin coat, it will dry just shiny. If you end up with too much Mod Podge in an area, use your brush to spread it out into areas that do not have Mod Podge. Now, one of the reasons that it's nice to use Mod Podge on your project is it helps to protect your sculpture from moisture. So if you were to get some water on it, it would not bleed the colors. It also helps if you have any cracking of paint. It helps to seal all the paint together so that the paint does not flake off of your sculpture. Now, this is an optional step. This will not impact your grade either way. So if you really like the bright, vibrant colors, I would recommend not doing Mod Podge, but just know that you might have paint that chips off, or it could get damaged by water or other materials. Now, if that's a concern, you could also do a light layer of Mod Podge, and it would protect your sculpture. If you have any questions, please ask. Once you are finished, you're going to put your lid back on your Mod Podge. You're going to put it back over in the Mod Podge tote tray. You're going to rinse out your brush really well. So if you look here at this brush compared to this brush, you can see that there's some white showing. So when you wash it out, you want to wash it out twice as long as what you think, and you're going to rinse it against your hand while water runs over it until it's completely clean. You see no white remaining. There's no white coming out on your hand when you wash it out. All right. Sometimes I will have a bucket of water for the brushes to soak in. So clean your brush well, and if you need to, you can put it in the bucket to soak. If you grab a brush from the bucket that has the brushes soaking in it, you will need to dry it before you use it for the Mod Podge.